Well, hello. My name is Anthony Sequeira. This is a CBT MicroNugget, and this is my look at the Windows 8.1 preview. I just want to make it clear that any opinions expressed in this MicroNugget are my own, and they are not the opinions of CBT Nugget trainers or CBT Nuggets itself. Now, with that disclaimer in place, let's get started. I have a confession to make. I've been pretty obsessed with the Windows 8 story. Yeah, this is kind of surprising for me because I no longer really support or teach Microsoft operating systems, but I do find myself having to support family and friends with their Windows system, and anytime Microsoft releases a new operating system, I'm pretty intrigued in how it's going to go and what it will include. When I downloaded the beta software of Windows 8, I remember how completely stunned I was. I mean, I had to heavily research on Google just how to shut it down. And I thought to myself, the average consumer is going to be outraged. I couldn't believe how difficult it was to figure out how to do the simplest of Windows tasks. And I also couldn't believe that the start button was gone. I mean, are you kidding me? This was our lifeblood for operating the particular Windows system. So sure enough, Microsoft listened to the consumer outcries and they said, all right, we'll fix this. The code name, of course, was Windows Blue. This is Windows 8.1. Over the weekend, Microsoft announced that there was 8.1 preview code available. I bravely downloaded this new image, burned a DVD, and went to various available systems in my house, formatted them, and installed the Win 8.1 preview. I did this both on a Dell laptop and on an Alienware Dell system. Desktop, that is. So I'd like to go ahead and show you a little bit of the Windows 8.1 preview right now, and I'm sure you're like me, pretty intrigued about just how many of the consumer outcry issues are addressed in this new code. I really gotta get myself a drumroll sound effect, but anyways, here it is, Windows 8.1. Uh-oh. Notice anything interesting here? Sure, we boot up to the same Metro interface that has caused so many users distress. Now notice there is a button here for our traditional desktop. Let's go there, and obviously one of the things we want to see right away is what's the status of the start button. So I'll click on desktop. We will move to the Windows desktop here that we all tend to crave. And look at this. In the lower left corner, there does appear to be a start button. Let's select it. Uh-oh. Yeah, exactly. This button takes us back to that classic Metro interface. I say classic. I guess it is a classic now, isn't it? Notice this down arrow. If we select this, we are taking an apps type view. Okay, so this is probably going to be a view that is more valuable to computer users that don't have touch screens, right? But notice, this is probably not the enhancement to the Windows operating system that so many were looking for. What they were looking for probably, right? Most users, they're looking for something like the classic shell, what that particular freeware application does. Classic shell, if I can spell that right, classic shell is going to give you in the Windows 8 environment your start button back with all of its functionality like start, shutdown. Because as you can see in this environment, we have to go to these charms on the right still to do something like shut down our PC, right? So not all that much has changed. Now, we can, thanks to Windows 8.1, boot directly to this desktop. So that's obviously going to be a nice enhancement. I'll right-click this taskbar down at the bottom. I'll choose Properties, and on the Properties screen, I'll go to Navigation, and I'll say, go to the desktop instead of Start when I sign in. show my desktop background on start. Okay, no big deal there. Always show start on my main display when I press the Windows logo key. Okay. And show the apps view automatically when I go to start. So that's pretty cool. Search everywhere instead of just my apps. So that'll do a web search when we search for stuff. And use desktop apps first, or list desktop apps first in the apps view when it's sorted by category. All right, so all these sound like a pretty good idea for me. I'll say okay. Understand now we will boot directly to this desktop. That's a nice feature instead of booting to the Metro interface. And when I choose the start feature now, based on my settings, I'll be seeing all my apps. A quick tip for you, of course, if you want to work in the desktop all the time like I do, you can go to any of these apps, right? And you can choose to pin them to the taskbar. Now, one of the things that I think Microsoft should really work on here is giving you an option to go ahead and create a shortcut on the desktop. Yeah, that would be nice. So if we come here and we right-click Notepad, we can pin to start, pin to taskbar, but wouldn't it be nice to go ahead and be able to create a shortcut on the desktop? And that particular option doesn't seem to be here. Let me go back to the desktop. Let's make sure that worked. And yes, you can see Notepad now is now indeed pinned to the taskbar. So Windows 8.1 preview, probably not exactly what you would expect, right? I was expecting, number one, a return of the classic start button. The other thing that I was looking for was a more simple, straightforward, literally a questionnaire on how you want to use your system. In other words, do you want the Metro interface or do you not want it? That really doesn't happen. We have to know to go to the properties of the taskbar in order to stop the booting into the Metro interface. So kind of surprising, the Windows 8.1 preview and the implementation of the changes that Microsoft has done. Well, I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.